All right. Welcome to the IU Hoops halftime report. Obviously, not going to be a very happy one as your Indiana Hoosiers currently down 47 to 27 to Wisconsin. I had bad feelings about this game for several different reasons, but I certainly did not expect for it to go this way. I think what we are seeing, to my eyes, is one team that's pretty desperate to get a win and that is out there really playing connected, really executing, playing hard, getting to the 50-50 balls, and another team that seemed to come into this game a little bit too impressed with how they played in the previous game. And also a team dealing with being on the road for the first time. And just a team that seems to be playing and thinking the game a step slow. So pretty much everything that could go wrong for Indiana in that half did go wrong, and we can kind of slice and dice all the particulars, and there's obviously lots of particulars, but the fight and the grit and some of those different things that we saw in the Florida State game, those just aren't here. And it takes a mature team to be able to come off a win like that at home and now go on the road to face a desperate team in their building and be able to bring that same stuff. And this team clearly just isn't there yet. That's what we're seeing. And we're seeing a lot of young guys who are playing in their first road game. And, I don't know that there's much more of an explanation for it than that. Like, we just didn't bring the kind of fight, the kind of energy that we needed in transition defense. We're not really getting back. We're not locating shooters. As I said, they're getting to more of the 50-50 balls than we are. And I think also, look, we know this is a team that wants to get to the free throw line. I think Indiana did a better job in the second 10 minutes of that half of getting the ball inside. But some of the calls that we've been getting in these home games, we're not getting today. 50-50 foul calls inside. Race had one that he didn't get. Trace has had a couple that he didn't get. And I think we're used to getting those calls, and we're not. And so, because of that, Indiana's only shot 7 free throws. Obviously this is a team that's a real big part of what we want to do. 2 for 8 from downtown, not knocking down some open looks. And really just not defensively. I mean, defensively, we have all kinds of issues, not locating shooters. I'm not sure what scouting report Joey Brunk looked at, but I have to guess that it wasn't the Nate Reavers scouting report because he just defended him. And look, Nate Reavers is a really versatile player, but if you're Joey Brunk, you can't let him face up and shoot like that, and you've got to be at least seem a little bit more prepared. But also just not creating any havoc on defense. A total of 1 steal and no blocks. Not a lot of deflections. And the reason why there isn't a lot of that is because we just don't have a lot of energy defensively. Letting too many straight line drives to the basket. So what is Wisconsin shooting from 3? Why is this not going? Wisconsin 6 of 13 from 3. And I had a feeling that they were going to make some threes. They've been a team that shoots much, much better at home. So, look, you guys are watching the same half I was. What has to happen for Indiana here in the second half, I don't think is, a real big schematic, strategic change. Indiana just has to come out and play. They've got to communicate. They've got to play hard. They've got to push the ball offensively. I was so encouraged the very first possession of the game. We had a good defensive possession. Al Durham gets it, goes right to the basket, gets fouled. And, then where did that go? Some of that aggression, we just haven't seen it. So, I think the other thing, I'm sure we'll talk about this on the postgame show, is, I don't know the rationale for why Devontae's coming off the bench. Some glass just broke at my house. I just heard. I don't know how that happened. It was very apt. That sound was kind of a very apt metaphor for this first half for Indiana. Kobe King, 17 points, 8 of 10 from the field. Like, at some point, someone's got to step up. This is where, to me, Justin Smith as a senior has to step up and say, hey, I'm going to shut this guy down. That hasn't happened. What I was going to say is we'll talk about this on the postgame show. I don't know what the rationale is for why Devontae is not starting, but it certainly seems like that needs to change soon, especially with Rob out of there. I thought Indiana played a lot more settled when Devontae was on the court. Only -7 when Devontae was on the court, given that we're down 20. But we just seemed like a more settled team offensively. It felt like we had more of a purpose. Devontae had a couple defensive possessions, where he at least got his hands on the ball and made some things happen. He's that guy that, and especially on the road, he's the guy that has your most experience. So I would love for someone to ask Archie why Devontae hasn't been starting. This certainly seemed like the kind of game where it would really help, to have him as a starter. So anyway, really rough first half for Indiana. Are you going to come back from 20 points down and beat Wisconsin in the Kohl Center? Probably not, barring a really hot shooting night. So I think if you're Indiana, you just got to come out and play your basketball. Again, if our identity is going to be a team that plays really tough, hard-nosed defense, then for these final 20 minutes, we've got to get back to that. We gave up 47 points to a team that has not been very good offensively. We should have a goal to hold them to, 20, 25 points this half. Really get in and grind it. And they're a good defensive team, and so even if you do that, you might lose by 7, 8 points. But for goodness sakes, we can't go out like this. So I think, look, the first half didn't go how we wanted it to go. We're probably going to lose this game. Fine. That's really disappointing, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about that on the postgame show. But now for the second half, how does this team respond? And that's what I want to see. We've talked a lot about how it seems like this team is more together and they're having fun playing, together, and they've got a toughness about them. Well, this is when we'll see it. You only contest that so much at home playing the competition Indiana's been playing. So I think this is a great test for this team. And so win or lose here in the second half, we'll find out a little bit more what we're made of. Just like we found out, some important lessons about this team in the Florida State game, I think we're going to learn some more important stuff about this team in the second half. And I want to see us come back and grind and turn this thing around. And again, maybe you don't fully dig out of the hole, but you come away from this 20 minutes saying, okay, look at these two different halves. Look at all the things that we did bad in the first half, how we turned it around in the second half. Let's build on that moving forward, guys. That, to me, is how we can at least exit the second half feeling a little bit better about ourselves. Because right now, I feel like you do, which is pretty crappy. So, poor first half for Indiana. Let's hope they can get this thing turned around. After the game, Ryan will be on to rant about the missed foul calls in the first half. Andy will be there. And we'll break it all down for you. So thanks for being here, everybody. And I'm going to go see what that broken glass was, because that didn't sound good. Talk to you guys in the postgame show.